Okay, so this quick lesson is entitled The Nature of Nazi Propaganda, and it's going to be a lesson in the analysis of propaganda in Nazi Germany from 1933 to 1944. After this lesson is done, we'll be doing a quick activity where you will be analyzing and interpreting propaganda, so it's imperative that you pay attention during this presentation, and there will also be a formative assessment afterwards. All right, so the objectives of this lesson. Students will understand a basic history of World War II and the history of Nazi Germany. Students will gain knowledge about propaganda and its implementation in World War II. Students will learn about the leaders of Nazi Germany. Students will be able to analyze and interpret specific examples of Nazi propaganda. And students will be able to use their knowledge that they have gained in order to create their own pieces of propaganda. So propaganda, what is it? Well, according to the Merriam-Webster dictionary, propaganda is ideas, facts, or allegations spread deliberately to further one's cause or to damage an opposing cause. Propaganda was used extensively in Nazi Germany prior to and during the outbreak of the war, and although they were not the only country to utilize propaganda, they used it at a much larger extent than any other country. Um, Historian Anthony Richard Ewart Rhodes stated that by creating the Ministry for Public Enlightenment and Propaganda, the Nazi regime had made something that had never existed before in Germany or any other country in the world. Now, Nazi Germany, you need to understand a brief history before you can understand the implementation of propaganda. So the National Socialist German Workers' Party, or the NSDAP, was more commonly known as the Nazi Party, was founded in 1920. They appointed Hitler to be the leader in 21, and they attempted to take control of Germany in 1923 through a failed coup known as the Beer Hall Putsch. The NSDAP began gaining national attention in the early 1930s, and Hitler even ran for president in 32. Now, he did lose the election to Field Marshal Paul von Hindenburg, yet he still received 36.8% of the vote, which equated to millions of votes. He was appointed chancellor by Hindenburg on January 30th, 1933, and on March 23rd, 1933, a decree was passed through the German Reichstag, which conferred dictatorial powers to Adolf Hitler, and it became known as the Enabling Act of 1933. And soon after, Hitler and the Nazi Party dissolved all other political parties and factions and trade unions and created prisoner camps or concentration camps for their political rivals. And these actions gave Hitler and the Nazi Party absolute power in Germany. So the Nazis viewed propaganda as a way to accomplish their goals, and it contributed greatly to their successes in Germany. As stated previously, the Nazi Party created the Reich Ministry for Public Enlightenment and Propaganda, which was responsible for the Nazification and indoctrination of the German population. And Dr. Joseph Goebbels was placed in charge of this institution as the Reich Minister of Propaganda. Now, Nazi propaganda, as with most propaganda, had very different mediums. Some of these included film, posters, music, radio, speeches, and much more. Propaganda can essentially be found anywhere. So, insofar as Nazi propaganda, both Hitler and Goebbels had a very dim view of the masses. They believed the masses had very little understanding. They forgot quickly, and that propaganda needed to be bare bones so they would remember the messages. Nothing could be too complex. It needed to be something very simple so that the people would remember it and that it would stick in their heads. They also believed that the messages should be persistently repeated until the very last individual came to grasp the idea that had been put forward. Um, Hitler once stated that the masses were a vacillating crowd of human children who were constantly wavering between one idea and another. And Goebbels once said that nothing is easier than leading people on a leash. I just hold up a dazzling poster and they jump through it. So now we step into the analysis of propaganda. If we take a look at this poster, we see a German woman holding her children, and the text reads, "German women, think of your children, vote Hitler." This was a 1932 presidential election poster that was produced by the Nazi Party. Now, the questions that you'd ask about this poster is, why was it created? Why would this be a compelling poster? And what is it inferring? Well, the background to this is that during the presidential election of 32, Hitler needed to show people why he was the right choice for president. This was a period of great uncertainty and economic instability, and Hitler ran on a platform of economic recovery and resurgent nationalism. This was due to the fact that Germany was still suffering from their loss during the First World War, and there was massive unemployment and economic crisis that had taken hold of Germany. The poster essentially implies that Hitler is the solution to the problems that are facing Germany, and that by not voting for him, they're leaving the future of their children to uncertainty. The analysis of how to analyze propaganda. Analyzing it can be a difficult and daunting task, yet there are simple steps that you can take to make your life easier when analyzing propaganda. Now, analysis is all about interpretation. What do you believe the poster is trying to say, and what evidence would you give to back that up? Now, your arguments are going to be best founded in evidence. Give examples from what was going on at the time, and why would the Nazi government, or any government for that matter, want to portray a certain situation in that light? And how are the figures being positioned, and what might this lead to a viewer to believe? Now, shortly we're going to be doing some exercises involving some pieces of propaganda that I brought in, and it is going to be very valuable for you to remember some of this information and put it into practice. All right.